What are you hearing from your clients in terms of bringing workers back?
I think everybody is really looking forward to bring their people back into the office, and vaccination is just absolutely key for that, because employees have to feel safe and well to get back to the office. So this is totally connected, the vaccination and going back to the office.
What kind of demand do you see for growth, Christian, after this pandemic, comes to, well, somewhat of an end? Because for a long time, there was speculation that, hey, work from home isn't so bad, and there may be a new model on the other side of this.
You know what? I think people are really looking forward to get back to the office, and it's not only on the employer side, it's also the employee side. Offices are seen as collaboration spaces and centers of innovation, and they also provide employees with opportunities for social interaction and engagement, learning and team building activities. I mean, if you have started in a new company maybe a year ago, you haven't seen your colleagues physically, and this is not a great experience. And so I think everybody is keen to get back into the offices.
So what do you think companies are going to be paying for square footage by the end of this year into next year? Is it going to be a drastically lower price, Christian, than we saw before the pandemic?
Well, even in that area, that synonym of the K shape is probably true. You will see that very successful companies will bid very hard for the best spaces in the different cities, and they will keep rents up and maybe even higher for the best buildings. And for the space which is less favorable, rents will fall quite significantly. So this bifurcation of top space and less good space will be quite visible, and companies will make their choices. But what we can already see that the most successful companies of each industry are clearly focused on getting the best space for their employees.
Are you seeing any bifurcation between European and U.S. markets as the vaccine rollout has been much slower here on the continent?
Yes, and we saw that over the whole time that there were cultural differences. In the US, people were much more cautious, especially on kind of in the Silicon Valley area, but also with that bad COVID experience in New York, but also Chicago, Boston area. So there were very few people being in the offices, whereas in Europe, over the last summer in 2020 up into late fall, there was quite a strong activity back in offices, especially on the continent. And now that has changed, obviously. The situation in Europe is at the moment not great. Vaccination is slow, and COVID infection rates are really high. And so in the US, we see already that return to offices, whereas in Europe, in some countries, especially in the UK and the Netherlands, offices are completely closed. And so there are differences. But I'm sure once vaccination is ramping up in Europe, we will see the same trend that people are getting back into the offices.
It was reported last week that JLL is going to take over 100,000 square feet at One Broadgate in the city of London. And I wonder what you think this means for a commitment to what really has been seen as a global financial hub until Brexit.
Yeah, I mean, London will get back as one of the key cities of the world. Clearly, it has been impacted by Brexit and is impacted by Brexit and is also impacted by that COVID pandemic. But it is one of the best cities for doing business, and the quality of life is really, really high. And so I have no doubt that London is a winning place going forward. We have decided for new additional space for our company. And the most important piece about that one is that this will be one of the most environmental sustainable buildings you will find in the whole of London. And that is very important for us. We want to make a statement there that you can get into buildings which are environmentally friendly and very, very comforting for your employees.
Of course, we built a pretty sustainable building on Queen Victoria Street recently, so you've got some competition there. Let me finally ask you about the The Asian market, Bloomberg reported recently you're looking to a potential sale of your China management business, and I'm sure you won't want to comment on that transaction right now. But what's the demand like for that line of business in Asian markets?
You know, China is such a relevant market for us. We have almost 18,000 employees there. And the market has changed, obviously, over the last 5 to 10 years. It has become a pretty mature market now. The expectations of clients in Shanghai or Shenzhen are no different from the expectations of clients in Western Europe or in the US. And therefore, we always have to refocus our model. We have to become much more localized in our approach. And that is what we are focused on, the next growth area for our China business.